We are back with another special broadcast of Face to Face #IFFY2019. जी हाँ, ये बहुत ही खास संस्करण है क्योंकि ये उन तमाम सोशल मीडिया यूजर्स के लिए है जो इस वक्त सीधे हमें देख रहे हैं सूचना एवं प्रसारण मंत्रालय के ऑफिशियल यूट्यूब, ट्विटर और फेसबुक चैनल पर। सीधे इस वक्त आप हमसे सवाल कर सकते हैं और वो सवाल हम सीधे पूछेंगे। इस वक्त हमारे साथ दो बहुत ही खास मेहमान जुड़ चुके हैं। जी हाँ, इस वक्त हमारे साथ जुड़ चुके इंटरनेशनल स्टार और वागनर मोरा और साथ ही साथ सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट और फिल्म क्रिटिक राजीव मसंद। वेलकम यू ऑल for a very special session of Face to Face IFFY 2019. It's a live broadcast. We are joined by millions of social media users who are posting so many questions right now, just because they really want to talk to you. And all those people who are right now not part of IFFY 2019, but yes, through this special broadcast, you can get all the updates alike. Wagner, for the very first question would be about IFFY, because you have been around the world, you have been through so many film festivals. This is IFFY, like International Film Festival of India's 50th edition, Golden Jubilee. So how was the experience? You just had a session. Tell us more about that.
It's been great. I just arrived. I arrived yesterday night, and I took a look at the program and the amount of films that you guys are showing here, and it's amazing.
Yes.
The films that you guys are showing here are like, I mean, I wish I could have time just to
watch them,
movies,
right?
You know, in here. So I'm very excited to be here, and I'm presenting my film, the film that I directed, Marighella, that we've been traveling. The film premiered in Berlin this year, and since then we've been traveling to many different film festivals. And it's my first time in India, so I'm super excited.
Rajiv, you tell us about how's the journey of IFFY you see, because you're part of IFFY for so many years. तो किस तरह का आपका अनुभव रहा है? IFFY का ग्राफ आपने बढ़ते देखा है?
मुझे लगता है कि this is really the culmination of a lot of years of trial and error, a lot of years of just doing it sort of with a commitment, and और इस साल लग रहा है कि the stakes are higher, the guests are great, the program as Wagner said बहुत ही जिसे हम कहते हैं सॉलिड प्रोग्राम, बढ़िया फिल्में हैं अलग अलग देशों से. We've got great guests. I mean, it was such an incredible privilege to chat with Wagner about Narcos, about Marighella, the film that he's directed. I think it's a very solid year, and I think for the 50th year, if he's really pulled out all stops to really put the best program possible.
Wagner, this one question has come from Instagram. It says कि Pablo Escobar, everybody know about this character, and suddenly people call you from this name, and it's a larger-than-life character, amazing role, iconic actor, but in the language you don't speak. So, how was the experience filming it, and you prep for the role? I was listening to somebody who went to university and studied there to get the Spanish into your system.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was really hard. But at the same time, I mean, as you mentioned, I didn't speak Spanish, so I had to learn a language in order to play a character, which was a very hard thing to do. But at the same time, it was something that really put me in a very strong way. I was like, I'm learning your language in order to play you, so this has to be intense, and it was great.
Going back to university,
yes.
This is later in life.
Yes, learning Spanish in a regular Spanish class with people from different parts of the world. It was a great experience for me. I mean, I always think about the things that I do as a life experience instead of more like I don't like to think about career, but I like to think about this is my life. And as a life experience, it was amazing. I was living in Colombia and learning a different language and being more aware of a culture that's really close to me as a Brazilian. As you know, Brazil is a very isolated country in South America because we speak Portuguese. But so being there was amazing. It was like for the first time I felt that I belonged to something bigger in terms of culture than just being a Brazilian. So it was awesome.
As we told you, we're getting a lot of questions on Instagram. There's a question from Vinay, and says, for the role of Pablo Escobar, you had to gain over 40 pounds. And how did you do it? And was it difficult to shed all those kilos also?
No, it was easy to gain, but really hard to lose, to get rid of it. But yeah, I had to do it. It's Pablo was a public figure, and he was a chubby dude. So I was basically eating, delicious food, and but at some point that was. I was started not to feel good about it. It was because that was not my body. I was starting to feel like too heavy or feeling a lot of lack of energy. So when we wrapped the second season, the thing that I most wanted to do was just to get rid of that as soon as I could.
Okay. There's a question from Priya on Instagram for Rajeev Masand. Being a film critic makes a lot of enemies in Bollywood.
Well, I think that anyone who understands the critic's job realizes that the job is not to criticize a film. It is to articulate one's honest emotional response to a film, and it's more than just talking about what to watch, what not to watch. It is hopefully to encourage a culture of film watching, a culture of watching and discovering films and cultures and languages and art from around the world. So I suppose you can rub some people the wrong way when you don't appreciate, because, and it's understandable. Everyone, even someone that's made a film that you didn't love, has put in a lot of work, and no one sets out to make a lousy film. But I think that people understand that the idea is just to introduce the viewer, the audience, to the best, to the best that is available and the best that you can shed a light on. So I think sometimes people get angry, but I think that's momentary. I think it sort of passes.
Other questions connected to this, like Sanjana on Instagram is asking what kind of pressure you face while you're reviewing a big budget, big star and a big banner movie or something like that.
I actually don't face any pressure. I mean, I think you have to. If it's not coming from an honest emotional place, then you shouldn't be doing it. I don't feel any pressure. I say about a film, or I write about a film what I believe to be true, and very often a lot of people may not agree, and that's fine, because a film is different things to different people. No one film will be the exact same thing to every single person that watches it. So I can appreciate that there will be films that I will disagree on with others, and I hope and I expect the same from them. So I feel no pressure. We often agree to disagree, and if that can be done civilly, then that's nice. That's the best you can hope for.
Okay. You don't know the kilos, but like Shrishti saying on Instagram wants to ask you that after playing the role of Pablo Escobar, was it difficult for you to come out of that role? What were the psychological implications?
I think that it's. We were talking in our conversation that we just had. It's not psychologically. I think it's okay. I think it's more like it's something that stays with you, because the work of an actor takes place in the actor's body. It's not somewhere else. So it's. I was living with that person in my body for 2 years. So at some point, there is something there, that you have to kind of take some time to get rid of. But psychologically, I think I was pretty happy and relieved when we wrapped the second season.
Okay. There's another question for you. You have acted in such niche genres like Narcos and Elite Squad. How has it helped in your work as a director?
Pretty much, and these two examples are Elite Squad and Narcos. They were both directed by the same guy, a friend of mine called Jose Padilla, and I learned a lot from him. Him being a very political artist, and the way he shoots, the way he deals with the way he uses the camera. He likes to handhold the camera and be really close to the characters, and create a certain energy in a set. So I've been learning a lot from. Of course, I mean the director that I am is a result of the great directors that I've worked with. One of them is Padilla.
Okay. Now tell us about your film Agela, streamed today at IFFI. So you'll be getting all the response and reactions, but just being streamed here. So what are your expectations? What do you think?
I'm so happy to be screening this film here because, like I said, the film was released in Berlin, and then since then the film has been screened in many different places, and I love to see the reaction of people in different places to a Brazilian film that that frames a very a particular moment of the Brazilian history. It's a film about the ones who resisted against the dictatorship that we have back in the 60s and the 70s. But because of the current political situation in Brazil right now, the film became a film about the ones who are resisting right now. And that's why the film is currently censored in Brazil. And that's why my pleasure in screening it in other places it's even bigger.
Okay. There's a question. John wants to ask you. You're a multi-talented soul. You have worked as a journalist, director, musician, film, television, and stage actor. But what have you dreamt of becoming in your life? Is it what you choose today, or something else? You've done so many roles, but what really you enjoy, and you always.
I think I mean I think I couldn't be anything else than someone who deals with a creative sort of job. But now I'm thinking about when I look at my kids and I go like, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be? And so whatever makes you happy. And I think that what makes me happy is to do exactly what I do, to create things and to make people think about their own lives and their own realities. And of course, me being a very political person, I think that the kind of films that I produce and that I do will always come with an amount of political force, and I think this is important for me.
Rajeev, there's a question for you. Gaurav wants to ask you if you want to see Wagner Moura in some role, what will that be?
Wow.
That's a nice question for a
You know, he's really a chameleon. You look at Narcos and you feel like, and then you look at him and you go like, he became that guy. So I think he could play anything. It's hard to pick one because I also think it's unfair for someone else to decide what an actor should play. But I'd like to see him play the role. Maybe I should ask him back. Is there a person or a part that you've always, growing up, wanted to? A historical figure?
No, you know, the thing that I was always fascinated with was Hamlet.
Oh yeah.
And I managed to do it like 10 years ago, and so after that, I think that I'm now, you know, just open to.
How lovely.
To whatever.
And there are actors who wait their entire careers to play Hamlet.
Yeah, that was the greatest thing that, I mean, it was such not like as a result, but for me.
Was it for the stage? Was it for
the stage? Yeah, it was.
You translated that also in your native language.
Yes.
You did it yourself?
Yeah, I did it. I did it with the director of the play and with a friend of mine. We did it ourselves.
When you change the language, the whole experience changes. The whole.
The what? Sorry.
When you change the language.
I think so. You know what? What I think it's even it's great for us that are non-English speaking people when we do Shakespeare, because the fact that we translate it, it's already a way to approach that material. You know, I was reading the other day. I was reading Macbeth in English, and whenever I had a doubt about it, I would go to a Brazilian translation and I would go, oh, so this is what they want. Okay, because even for English speaking people, when you read Shakespeare, you go like, oh, what does this really mean? You know,
right.
It's of course when you translate it, you lose a lot of the poetry, and you always lose something when you translate. But at the same time, it's great because you kind of can go and say, so this is what he's saying,
right,
you know, already
right.
in a. And of course, you try to do it in a poetical way in your
right.
own language, but it's.
Okay. There's a question on Instagram from Gaurav. Have you watched or liked any Indian movie or web series or?
So I have to say that I'm very ignorant in terms of Indian, and I'm very sorry to say this, but I remember a long time ago I've seen like, and you're gonna help me out with this. It's a trilogy. It's three films from the 50s, I think, about the boy, and then the way this boy grew up.
This is Ray, Satyajit Ray, yeah.
Ray, yes.
Apur Sansar, yeah.
Yeah, and that was like an amazing piece of filmmaking.
Right.
I saw that like that was a long time ago.
Right.
I saw this when I was in university, but I was amazed by those films.
Yeah.
You know, and but I mean, I'm not very familiar with the Bollywood culture,
Sure.
and I'm sorry to say this, but I'm not.
Bollywood culture, there's a question.
And you're gonna educate me on that.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll send you back with a list of
exactly
must-watch titles.
of things that I should watch.
You talked about Bollywood culture, then there's a question from Jyoti Sekhi. Would you like to be cast along the global icon Priyanka Chopra? You know about Priyanka Chopra?
No, you know what I would love to. Honestly, I would love. The thing that I'm being fascinated with is, and we were talking about the conversation I had with William Dafoe the other day,
Right.
and his career, how diverse his career is, and the fact that I'm, you know, that I can speak Portuguese and Spanish and English. I'd love to work here.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to have the experience of working in a culture that's so different from
Sure.
from mine, but at the same and going to all these film festivals. The greatest thing for me is to realize that, you know, and I've been talking to Russian directors, Chinese people from. It's the fact that in the end of the day, filmmaking is the same thing everywhere.
Right.
You know, I mean, regardless if you're doing a big Bollywood film or a
Right.
big Hollywood movie or an independent Chilean film
Right.
or whatever, it's the same. Whenever it's the after action,
Action.
it's the same thing.
Right.
And that's beautiful.
It
There
is.
is a beauty in this, and I would love to work here. So if there is an Indian director watching this right now,
You're going to have a bag in
feel free to hire me. Yeah.
Rajeev, there's a question for you. What is your observation about the development of film festival circuit in India? What are your thoughts about it?
I think it's grown considerably. I think that film festivals serve a very strong purpose, and I think that in the because our traditional cinema sort of our traditional distribution systems have lagged behind when it comes to international films, when it comes to films from across the world. Film festivals fill that gap. The only way to access Wagner's film, for example, or the only way to access Parasite, which is this incredible film that broke out at Cannes and has not released theatrically yet, is through film festivals. So, and I think that the film watching culture has increased considerably, has grown considerably among people, among young people, and I think that as a result of that, film festivals have the relevance of film festivals has only grown from what used to be a fuddy-duddy babu culture kind of thing. It's become something that you see so many young students, because they know that this may be the only place they'll get to watch the much talked about film that broke out at Berlin or Cannes. It might just, I mean, that's also changing now with streaming platforms. But your first point of entry might be, before we watch Marighella on a streaming platform, whenever that will be, this is going to be the first place to be able to watch it. So
this year we have 90 Indian premieres at IFFI 50.
that's incredible. That's lovely.
And with actors like Wagner Moura wants to act in Indian movie, there's a question for you. How would you see the evolution of Indian cinema? Are we moving towards being Hollywood?
No, and I don't think we should. I don't think that anyone, you don't need another Hollywood. Hollywood's there and they're doing a great job. I think that Indian cinema is evolving nicely within itself. We've already changed from what used to be, a couple of years ago, if we were talking to Wagner, we'd tell him, do you want to do a Bollywood film? And that would be shorthand for the big musical, because that's all we made. But today that's not true. Today the Hindi film has evolved into something that's driven by stories, strong character, it's independent, great performances. So I think that we're on the right path, and I don't think we need to be like Hollywood or become Hollywood. Hollywood's doing its job, and we need to evolve and just become stronger.
Because the actors are coming here.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, we have to wind up and we have to wrap up this session. Finally, if you want to say something, you're here at IFFI. You're going to see, I wish you're going to see, I'm hoping that you're going to see a lot of good movies over here. You're going to interact with people. So what are your expectations here? And also after Pablo Escobar, and hoping for another iconic character or anything, such a larger than life, most loved role coming from your side.
Yeah, there is this film that I produced and I act in. It's a film about a Brazilian UN guy called Sergio Vieira de Mello. This film is going to be released. It's a Netflix movie. It's going to be released next year in the first semester. I'm very excited about this film. In the end of the day, it's a film about empathy. I was telling, in our conversation, I was telling him that my goal in the US is to produce films about Latin people that films that don't reinforce stereotypes. So this was, I think, this film about surgery was a very first, a good very first step, and about being here, it's honestly, it's an honor. I'm happy. I wish I can. I really want to watch at least 2 or 3 movies of that program, because there's so many great films that if I don't watch it here, I probably won't watch it anymore. And I'm willing to also to have time to walk around and go a little bit better.
You want to say something?
No, thank you for having us, and I really enjoyed this session. And I'm very excited about the 50th year. I think that we put up a great show. I think that Ify's done an incredible job in the 50th year.
Okay, that's it in this special edition. This is a special initiative by New Media Wing. Sorry for not taking all the questions. We'll be back with another special session of Face to Face Ify 2019. Thank you.